It's your boy, Sasbury May, and UFC Paris was crazy. I wasn't gonna make a video on this, but this card was one of the best cards I've ever watched in my life. The best fight night ever, and this is probably card of the year. So yeah, let's get into it. Also, 11 finishes. There are 11 finishes on this card before the main event. And the main event wasn't a finish, but if there was one more finish, it would have been the most finishes on a UFC card in history. And if the Syndicate and Pitbull fight wasn't cancelled, it could have happened. I'm so disappointed still that fight never got to happen because Syndicate got cut from the UFC, which I'm pretty sad about. Hopefully he gets added back though. First of all, Andreas Gustafsson versus Fakhretdimov. I saw Andreas Gustafsson got KO'd. And yeah, man, it's pretty sad. Andreas Gustafsson was just an absolute marauder. Let's have a moment of silence for the marauder community. Then Brad Tavares versus Robert Bryczek. Then the second round, Brad Tavares was winning with low kicks and stuff, and Brad Tavares was just eating those leg kicks. No, I mean Robert Bryczek was just eating those leg. Was just absolutely eating those leg kicks. But in the third round, I don't really remember the fight. It's Sam Patterson versus Trey Waters. Trey Waters doing good in this fight until he got KO'd. He was slipping the jab, he had good head movement, but then eventually Trey Waters' hands just weren't defending himself properly, and then Sam Patterson eventually landed a 1-2, and then Sam Patterson went for the finish, got a first round TKO. But Trey Waters was looking kind of good defensively, but eventually if you have your hands down, if I have your hands down, then there's a chance to get caught, and this is what happened. Then Harry Hardwick versus Kyle Fernandez. Damn, Harry Hardwick looked bad in this fight. I've known about the Hardwick brothers before, and they do kind of have like hype and some following, like in the British MMA world and stuff. So I thought he was going to be way better than he was, but he got absolutely destroyed. That's one of the worst leg kick beings I've ever seen. Getting leg kick TKO'd in the first round is absolutely crazy. That doesn't even happen in UFC 5. And he just couldn't walk. He was walking forward though, even when his legs were hurt, and I thought that he was just going to absorb it and eventually start putting pressure on Kyle Fernandez, but no. Those leg kicks eventually started to add up, and Harry Hardwick was done. He was done, and he was in a wheelchair after the fight, which is pretty crazy. Having to be put in a wheel. Imagine Harry Hardwick got like a proposition from a genie that you'll be able to see how you looked like after your fight, and then Harry Hardwick's okay, and then Harry Hardwick just sees a picture of himself in a wheelchair after his fight. That's the first time I've ever seen a fighter have to go in a wheelchair after a fight. So yeah, that's gonna be some. So if Harry Hardwick starts getting wins in the UFC and stuff, and he starts like becoming a little bit cocky, people on his Instagram are gonna commenting that I'm humbling with the gif of him in a wheelchair. Then Marcin Tybura versus Ante Delija. I wasn't really paying attention during this fight. KOing Marcin Tybura in the first round, especially KOing Marcin Tybura, is no easy feat at all. Besides Tom Aspinall and Derek Lewis, no one has KO'd Marcin Tybura, so this guy's going to be... I'm not going to say he's going to be a problem in the heavyweight division, but yeah, we got a new exciting heavyweight in the division, and he's going to have some hype now. But I didn't really pay attention to the fight, I was in a kind of my own world. Then Umar Sa versus Brenton Ribeiro. I don't really remember this fight where Umar Sa was landing shots to the back of the head, kind of. And yeah, good for him, I guess. Don't really remember the fight. Also, sorry for the mess. Sorry, I'm just very unprepared for this video. Yeah. Then William Gomez versus Robert Rucella. This was a really entertaining fight. Robert Rucella, he's also a numerator in the UFC. Except William Gomez is just a really tricky style to fight against. He's very tall and rangy, and he's gonna run away from you. So Robert Rucella only really has a 1-2 in his game. So William Gomez just had to hop back, and he was out of range the whole time. And then Robert Rucella would try and sometimes throw spinning kicks to the body, but he didn't really have many tools to get past the range. But Robert Rucella did look good though, and if he doesn't get a UFC contract, it's absolute bullshit, because you can see his potential. It's just William Gomez has only lost one fight in the UFC, which is against Harder Mill, which some would say is a controversial decision. So he's technically undefeated in the UFC, and having to fight William Gomez in your debut, that is a tough win to get. But in the third round, Robert Rucella did land a head kick, and it kind of rocked William Gomez. And I remember in the beginning of the third round, William Gomez poked Robert Rucella, and Robert Rucella was starting to get pressure on a bit, so maybe William Gomez got a rest there and was able to recover a bit. Which, yeah. But Robert Rucella still looked good though. This was a very entertaining fight, even though it was a decision. One of the only 2 decisions on the card. And yeah, William Gomez should probably get a top 15 opponent now, or top 10 in the featherweight division now. And yeah. Next is Axel Soler versus Rhys McKee. I never watched Axel Soler, watched before this, never knew who he was, but damn, he looks good. He kind of has like a karate stance, and he kind of, and in the beginning of the fight, he was just throwing 1-2s, straight left hands, and he wasn't really able to land much. But then, as the fight started to go on, he started up versatile striking, and then he was starting to land. He would throw a 1-2 and then a hook at the end, for example. And his defense is really good. He has good hip movement. He has very good reactive head movement. For example, in the finishing sequence, Rhys McKee threw a jab, and Axel sort of saw that, ducked the jab, and then was able to get the body shot. For example, Axel Soler looks really good, really clean striking, even though Rhys McKee was trying to make it dirty and messy. So yeah, so Axel Soler, apparently he's a lightweight, but he's 6'2", man. He's just brown on the man. These lightweights are starting to become borderline illegal. If he is going to be fighting a lightweight, that should be borderline illegal. We should start banning these guys, these 6'2" guys fighting at massive guys fighting at lightweight. But Axel Soler looked really good, and I think he's going to become a problem in the welterweight division. Then Balaji Oki versus Mason Jones. This is a really entertaining fight as well. In the beginning, Balaji Oki was just absolutely throwing steel and hammer on Mason Jones' chin, but Mason Jones' chin is made of absolute granite or something. He was just taking those shots, and even though he was taking those shots, he was still trying to come forward, and it was just absorbing Balaji Oki's heat. And then eventually, after that period where Mason Jones was hurt and stuff, then Mason Jones was starting to get his boxing on, even landed a right hand which rocked below Oki at the end of the round. And then Mason Jones got crucifix at the end of the first round. Kimura. He got Kimura, which he couldn't get, but Balaji Oki is really strong, so that's the reason to get the Kimura. Then Mason Jones does a judo trip in the second round, gets full mount, and starts landing elbows. And the thing is, I don't really like the way the UFC fights are stopped. I feel like the fights are stopped way too early now. Balaji Oki was blocking those elbows with with his guard, and he wasn't hurt at all. But also, Balaji Oki wouldn't be able to get out of position, and I would rather just Balaji Oki just absolutely gas himself out, and then Mason Jones get more of a real finish than stop it that early, even though Balaji Oki was in a very bad position. But yeah, Mason Jones. Maybe we should consider Mason Jones as a marauder as well. Then Modestas Bukauskas versus Paul Craig. Modestas Bukauskas, he looks really fast on the feet now. He kind of reminds me of Tom Aspinall with the way he moves and the way he throws punches, and also his speed and stuff. And yeah, at one point I thought Paul Craig hurt Bukauskas' knee or something, but Bukauskas was fine, and then eventually Paul Craig tried to go for a triangle choke or something, or try to go guard, and then Bukauskas was landing some absolutely heavy elbows, and then that elbow at the end of the round, Paul Craig couldn't get up, and Paul Craig has retired, thank God. But yeah, Paul Craig is the only guy to beat Muhammad Ankalaev, which is, just think about it, Paul Craig is the only guy to ever beat Muhammad Ankalaev. So Paul Craig still has had a good career, even though he's looked really shit in his last few fights. Having Muhammad Ankalaev on your resume is crazy. Then BSD versus Mauricio Rafi. I was expecting Rafi to get a KO or something, but no, BSD gets it done by being an absolute marauder. Something was off about Rafi that night. I was just something in his eyes. I was looking at his eyes and I was like, Rafi just doesn't feel like he's up for a war tonight or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of coping in a way, but yeah, Rafi really can't defend against wrestlers and like BSD. He was able to get the body lock and then trip him out and get him to the ground. And round 2, Rafi even landed a flying knee KO, and just Benoit just ate it. And yeah, I think this is BSD's probably. Mauricio Rafi is so talented. BSD is one of the few styles who gives Mauricio Rafi problems because he doesn't give him space, and he doesn't respect Rafi's power, and doesn't respect giving Rafi space. And if Rafi doesn't have space, especially against a grappler, then he gets uncomfortable, and he gets bullied. And yeah, just gets BSD, man. BSD is just absolute marauder. BSD is starting to become scary again, like how we used to talk about BSD before the Poirier loss. We're gonna start being scared of BSD again. Then Imavov versus Baralho. Let me think about. Yeah, this fight was alright. It wasn't boring, but it wasn't really entertaining. The fine nerds have just like got absolute withdrawal in their aura now. They've lost so much aura tonight because now there's only Gene Silva who's undefeated in the fine nerds. What else? What I think should happen next is Imavov. He should fight Hamzat Chimaev back in December. Hamzat says he wanted to fight an Abu Dhabi card after he beat. Never mind. Let's not talk about that. And yeah, I think Imavov should fight December. Imavov versus Hamzat in December. Give Hamzat a quick turnaround, a quick little easy side tower defense, because Imavov will get destroyed by Hamzat. And Baralho, maybe Baralho should fight DP next year. And yeah, I just want to talk about UFC Paris. It was an absolutely crazy card. Really a 9 out of 10 card. I think it would have been a 10 out of 10 card if the main event was better. What else? Yeah. It's your boy Sasper May. I'm out.